Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar, How to Train Your Dragon. You may be in a wrong webinar if you're here for other things. Just kidding. Today's webinar is Personalize Your Customer's Journey with Email Marketing Automation. So glad that you can join us today. My name is Hank Hoffmeyer. I'm an author, speaker, podcast host, and a senior manager of client solutions here at Campaigner. I've been involved with marketing and sales for almost 20 years now, and I've been dubbed the digital marketing infotainer because I like to make marketing fun and successful. I'll let you be the judge of that after today's session. I'm also joined by Brandon Dove. He's one of our senior product managers. He has over 20 years experience in designing, building, and selling large-scale consumer SaaS offerings. As our senior product manager here at Campaigner, he develops close relationships with customers and is also responsible for bringing enhancements and new feature ideas to life within our product. It's a pleasure working with you, Brandon, and I'm glad you could join us today to share your expertise around automation.
Thanks, Hank, and everyone who's joined today. I'm excited to be here and to be able to share with you all how you can use marketing automation to make your lives better.
Let's jump right in because we have a lot of information to cover. And of course, we want to give you the opportunity to ask questions at the end of today's webinar. Imagine yourself in medieval times. Better yet, maybe picture yourself in a place called Westeros. In this day and age, you probably wanted to get messages out to people if there was a pending war, something going on, or maybe there was a birth in the family, right? How would you get that message out? Maybe one way is using a courier on a horse, and they can deliver that message in a speedy manner, right? And if you are in Westeros, there's one other way that's probably a little bit faster. Can you think of what that mechanism was to send a message to someone far away that might have been important? If you thought Raven, you are correct. In those times, these methods were an effective way to send important messages through a courier, or better yet, a Raven. Things sure have changed since then, wouldn't you agree? We've gone from sending simple messages sent in archaic ways to mass communication methods to get the consumer's attention to buy our products and services. We could define marketing in so many different terms. I could probably unmute everyone and obtain so many different variants of what a definition of marketing is, but I like to think of it as convincing people to need what you provide. Simple enough. Convincing someone to buy a product or service because they need it. I was born in the 1970s. The main channel for marketing back then was the television. And when we look at the 90s, the best way to advertise your business would have been through the yellow pages. Some folks on this call may or may not have actually seen one, but maybe you know what it is if you haven't. They were these thick books that were dropped on your porch or in your driveway that listed a bunch of different types of businesses in there, especially if you were looking for a service provider like a plumber. You'd go to the P's, find a plumber, give them a call. If they didn't answer, leave them a message. And that's how you'd buy a service. And products, you might want to give them a call ahead of time if it was a brick and mortar location to see if they had that product in stock. Then you would actually drive out there to get it. We did not have Amazon Prime back then. Now we live in a digital world where information is flowing all around us. All of us probably have a phone, right? A smartphone in our pocket, on our desk, or wherever it is right now. Let me ask you a question. Do you check your email as soon as you wake up in the morning? Well, if you answered yes, or you were thinking yes, according to the IDC, 80% of people check their email within 15 minutes of waking up. That makes email marketing a very powerful marketing channel. The average adult receives 147 emails per day. They're going to delete about 71 or half of those. And the average American spends about 4.7 hours a day on their mobile device. People in the US check their Facebook, Twitter, and other social media accounts 17 times a day. There's just so much noise. So how do you cut through this clutter? Marketing to consumers has changed over time. We have email, we have websites, we have social media, and then we went from TV and yellow pages to digital advertising. To win a battle in medieval times, you either had to have a large army or the best weapons. And if you had a dragon on your side, you were sure to win. What we want to do is make sure we're adapting to these new ways and getting in front of these consumers when they're ready to buy. Send the right message to the right person at the right time. Marketing automation allows you to do that. Send the right message to the right person, right when they want it and when they're going to read it. It'll provide you with the tools to personalize and trigger the right content to help you engage with your audience. It's your modern day dragon. Consumers have evolved over time, and I like to think of today's consumer as being empowered. The empowered consumer has access to a mobile device. It's basically there when they need it. It's their calendar, it's their map, it's their library. It's also their credit card. It's their digital companion. It drives everything from what they buy to who they are. It's a critical assistant in all facets of their life. They can be hands-on. The empowered consumer is not driven by ads or entirely by friends' recommendations. They have the ability to try before they buy, return at will, click their way to new options and choices. It changes the way they shop, what they shop for, and how they expect to be treated. And the consumer has all the power and control these days. Us as marketers, not so much control. They're smart. With access to multiple points of information, the empowered consumer is going to check multiple sources before making a decision to purchase. It goes even further. They're going to use their social network of friends and coworkers to give them feedback on potential purchases, buying a trip, or working with vendors that they've never worked for before. They're also going to be vocal. They're going to share their experience, positive or negative, on social platforms and on review sites. They're committed. The empowered consumer is going to be someone that's going to be loyal to you as long as you give them value and maybe a good price, but they are going to expect you to do the same. They want you to be loyal and provide them with the best possible customer service if they're going to give you their money. And last, I like to think of the empowered consumer as being very global. They can buy products, services from anywhere in the world. They can review things anywhere in the world. Doesn't matter where they are anymore because of smartphones, the internet, tablets, computers, and just information that flows globally. When I look at the typical marketing funnel, I think of it as a plastic or metal funnel that's wide at the top and narrow at the bottom, kind of like what you use to put oil in your car. With this funnel, leads move through stages of awareness from evaluating to buying, right? They have awareness, they have interest, consideration, intent, and evaluation purpose, and then hopefully what they're going to do is actually purchase from you. It was a numbers game. The more leads you added to the top of the funnel, hopefully, the more came out the bottom. In this stage of the empowered consumer, we can cut out the traditional marketing funnel. It's outdated and it no longer works. Let's throw that funnel out the window, or better yet, use it to put oil in our cars. For me, the marketing funnel looks a little bit different. I like to think of it as a circle. People can move in and out of the circle as they want to, and you have more opportunities to engage and convert with consumers. Not only do you identify leads, but leads may seek you out as well. They'll share their experiences with you and also with others. You have more ways to develop first time and lasting relationships with customers. And most importantly, it's not linear. It's a circle. To get people into our lead circle, we need to use something called lead generation. This is the process of stimulating and capturing the interest of a product or service for the purpose of developing a sales pipeline. Keep in mind that approximately 96% of visitors that come to your website are not ready to buy. So how do we put a little fire under them? The first thing you want to do is take your first dragon into battle, and that's going to be landing pages. You need to obtain leads, and landing pages are the way to do that. You can have a form on that landing page to help get information or sell a product or service with a call to action. It's important to take a no prisoners approach to lead generation and converting leads into customers. Landing pages work by using your content channels such as email marketing, blogging, pay-per-click advertising, and of course, email marketing to drive traffic to your landing page. Then what you need to do is have an incentive to convert on that landing page. It could be something as simple as a video about your product or service, a sign-up form with an offer, or maybe a coupon or download. Here's some examples of some landing pages that I felt were laid out pretty well. What you want to do is have a specific page for your product or service where you can get right to the point. And that could be obtaining an email address or creating that conversion. It needs to be branded and focused. What you should do is test copy, images, and button colors, as well as all other colors on the landing page. What you want to do is keep the friction low and also the anxiety at a minimal level. These are great examples of landing pages that you can take to heart, get some inspiration, and start building ones of your own. How do we know when a conversion happens? I like to think of it as when the positive factors outweigh the negative factors. That's pretty much when a conversion is going to happen. Let's take a look at some of those factors. Some positive factors would be your branding, the copy on your landing page, the offer, what you're offering, and then the color. How does it make me feel? Does it make me want to engage with that landing page and keep reading? And then some of the negative factors would be friction and anxiety. Provide the information that's relevant to them, make them feel safe about providing their information. This way, they're more likely to convert than have questions or feel concerned about giving their information or providing you with a credit card number. Here's a simple formula to figure out the key to online conversions. When the relevance, motivation, value proposition, and offer are greater than the friction and anxiety, you'll have a conversion. So keep relevant information on your landing page, motivate them to buy, make sure you're giving them a good value proposition, and you have some kind of an offer like a discount or enter to win something. And by not having friction and anxiety on your landing page, you will have more conversions. Segmentation, which is our second dragon, is the linchpin of marketing automation. Segmentation is basically taking your contacts or your email subscribers and filtering them. An example would be location. What you might want to do is find out what city someone lives in and then segment based on that. So if you're in Ottawa or you're in Raleigh, North Carolina, you can segment people out in those cities to try to target them more effectively. What you're going to do is take your activity channels like email, social, landing pages, and your pay-per-click options. You'll add them into an automatic personalization sequence, which is marketing automation. And then hopefully at the end, there'll be a win-win type of scenario because the consumer is going to get what they want, the product or service that they value or need, right? And then on the other side, you're winning because you're getting a new customer and more importantly, revenue. I like to think of there being four pillars of segmentation. The first one is going to be geographic information. That's basically location information. Where do they live? What country? What city? What area? Is it a region? You can filter by all that information, such as that location data, like the city, if you want to target them, if you have an event in that city, or maybe a certain region where you're having an event, or you want to target people only in the United States, you can do that. Then we have demographics, and this could be age, gender, income, education, and maybe their occupation. Those are strong types of data that you can use to try to develop a relationship and provide the subscriber with the information they need to make a decision. Then we have psychographics, their lifestyle, activities, interests, opinions, concerns, values, and attitudes. That's information everyone has, but does not easily want to give it up. You might ask me about 2 and 3. How do I get that information? Because theoretically, the only information you should be asking for on a forum is the first name and email address. That is all you need to start a relationship. After that, you're creating that anxiety and possibly causing friction, making people leave that forum and not fill it out. What you can do is ask for this information afterwards using a survey. The last pillar for me is going to be behavioral information. What are they doing or what are they not doing? And as Brandon's going to show us, we can actually look at that in our automation sequences. In other words, is somebody opening an email? Are they not opening an email? Did they click a link or not click a link? Are they doing certain things or not doing certain things? What we should do is target people based on that behavior. Now, with all that said, what I want to do is hand it over to Brandon. He's going to start talking more about marketing automation and tell us how to actually use it, and then we're going to actually dive in and show you some examples. So with that, I am going to turn over controls and let Brandon start talking.
Great, thanks, Hank. The third dragon that we're going to bring to battle is workflow automation. And workflow automation really helps you to plan and execute timely and targeted marketing campaigns. This is a really powerful tool that can help you nurture consumers to sale, and it really brings together all the different elements of all the other dragons, actually, that Hank has been talking about previously, and helps to orchestrate these. So since nurtured leads make 40% larger purchases than non-nurtured leads, in my experience, workflow automation is really the most powerful marketing tool available. By automating your campaigns, you can yield up to a 4,400% return on investment. Now, let's take a step back and talk about drip marketing. Drip marketing is really a one-size-fits-all method of marketing using email and even direct marketing. It doesn't take into account customer activity and behavior, and it makes it really static and non-adaptive. Lead nurturing, on the other hand, allows you to send personalized communication that's triggered by actions or data. It's like the magic that turns water into fire. So lead nurturing is really the process of building effective relationships with potential customers throughout the buying journey. Some recent industry stats have shown that 79% of leads never convert to sales because of a lack of lead nurturing. Yet we find 65% of marketers haven't established lead nurturing. By 2020, that's right now, customers will manage 85% of their relationships without talking to a human. So ultimately, lead nurturing allows you to personalize the customer experience. It helps to build trust and increases the urge to buy for your customers. Nurturing has some residual effects. Think of it like finding dragon's eggs that you use to develop future wins in your marketing battles. It creates brand advocates and referrals, allows you to receive reviews and testimonials, encourages repeat purchases, and it helps to build loyalty. For those of you that are not using marketing automation today, you probably find yourself frequently repeating the same tasks, and your customers may experience untimely follow-ups as a result. Customers will also likely notice a lack of personalization in the messages they receive, and as a marketer, you may find yourself with little visibility into contact inactivity. All of this ultimately results in headache for both you and your leads or customers. So how do we use a workflow? What types of things can actually start a customer on a journey through a workflow? There's actually a number of different triggers that we can use. For example, we can use an activity, something like filling out a form, opening or clicking in an email, or making a purchase or visiting a website. We can use date and time-based triggers, where decisions are based on the length of time to wait or to check for a trigger. Or we can use customer data. Things like birthday, date of last purchase, or some other custom data can all be used to trigger and make decisions within a workflow. So let's take a look at an example. I kept this simple on purpose. Let's say you have an audience that you want to nurture. You send them an email. You then wait a couple days and send another. Then you check to see who opened the email and send one version of your next email to people that opened and another for those that didn't. You continue to send emails and then check to see if they've become a customer. Based on the determination, you can then either add them to a customer workflow or to another re-engagement list to try and nurture them back into the fold. So without further ado, let me move into the live demo.
You give control to Brandon and get this started. All right.
There we go. Thanks, Hank. Okay, everyone, can you see on screen the campaigner interface? Hank, can you see that?
Right now, I'm still seeing the slide, so I'm not. You have to, I think, go into the panel and share your screen to the folks on the webinar.
Aha.
I think I'm actually no, I'm actually seeing it. We're seeing it. It's good. It's just a different view on my side.
Okay. Great. Great. So what I'd like to do is to take the previous simple example and show you what this looks like in the context of the campaigner product proper. So I've already obviously logged into my account here, and I've navigated to the workflow section of the campaigner product. So I'm going to start off by clicking on New Workflow. And right away we can see that the tools made available for us to actually create this workflow in Campaigner are very visual. And it's funny, for anyone who might have young children today who are interested in doing any coding type of exercises, this is not dissimilar from how we present kids today with introduction to actually writing some code, providing these kind of visual tools. Ultimately, this makes it a very simple and easy process to build the workflows that we're talking about. So what you can see here, I have a toolkit of different things I can add to my workflow. And when we first come into a workflow, we're presented with a simple trigger and a simple exit point. What I'm going to do for our demonstration here is just disconnect these so I can continue to build more details in our workflow. So let's look at the trigger options first. So we'll double click on this. And this allows me to choose a variety of different trigger criteria. So we have a few different trigger types available in our workflow builder. The first one is rules. This effectively lets you define a set of rules based on different criteria that will pull contacts into a given workflow. These can be a variety of different filters, which include adding contacts to a list, maybe actions that a contact took with an email that you'd sent to them. Maybe it's a form submission, or maybe it's an update to a contact property. The second option here is timer, and this is a time-based trigger. So perhaps you want to schedule a workflow to take place in a recurring schedule at a certain point in time and day. This is the kind of trigger type that you would select in that case. The third option we have here is API trigger type. And this allows you to control workflows programmatically. So perhaps you're integrated with Campaigner and you have an elaborate sort of system built, and you want to be able to trigger workflows as contacts are coming in and out of your system or doing various things. You can use the API to actually explicitly trigger the workflow to begin. So for our example today, I'm going to pick rules. And so let's say we have a form, and members or contacts who land on your page and enter their details on your form, they're going to get added to a particular list. So I'm going to pick list membership, contacts were added to, and now I can choose a particular list. So let's say I want to add them to my website leads list. That's the list I'll pick here, and I'll set that as the trigger. Okay. Next, once I've defined the trigger, I'm actually going to want to do something. So if you remember in our example, the first thing I was going to do was send an email, send a welcome email. So I'll drag onto the palette here, my send email option. Here I can double click on this and choose which email that I want to send. Now, I mentioned that workflows bring together a lot of the power of the other dragons and certainly other features in Campaigner. So in preparation for our demo today, I've gone through and created a number of different email campaigns and messages already for simplicity's sake. So I've already defined a lead welcome email, and I'll just go ahead and select that as the email that I want to send. And I'll go ahead and I'll connect my trigger to my send email node. Great, so I've sent my first email. Now I'm going to want to wait some time before I do anything else. So I'll go over, I'll grab the wait item, open that up, and here you can define how long it is that I want to wait for taking any further action. So to keep it simple, I'm going to set this to 2 days, and I'm going to go ahead and send send that welcome email. I'm going to wait 2 days before I do anything else. Now, after I've waited the 2 days, I want to check, did anyone actually open that lead welcome email that I sent? So to do this check, I'm going to grab a condition box, okay? And when I open this up, it allows me to check a couple different things. I can check whether customers are part of a particular mailing list or perhaps part of a segment that I've defined already. Now, segmentation is a very powerful tool in Campaigner. It allows us to look at a number of different contact properties and actions and activities. Did they open email? Did they convert using? Did they get added to a list? Did a particular contact property change for them? There's all kinds of different options that we can look at. I've defined a segment already called Open Lead Welcome Email. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. So this is effectively going to check and see who opened that email. I'm going to go ahead and connect that to my wait condition. So what am I going to do for people who open that email? Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to send them another email. And this may be the second email in a series of lead nurturing emails. So I'm going to select which email it is I'm going to send. This is going to be my lead nurturing email number 1. Great. So anyone who opened my previous lead welcome email is going to travel down this path and get this next email. Now, what about the folks who didn't open that first email? Well, I'm going to send them a different message. So I'll go ahead and drag my send email node onto the canvas here, connect it up, and I have to pick which email I want to send these folks. Well, just so happens I have another email set up for these guys. This is my lead nurturing email number 2. Go ahead and select that. So great. I've sent both of these follow-up emails. I'm probably going to want to give my contacts or my leads some time to interact with those emails. So I'm going to go ahead and drag out another delay node. I'm going to set this, just like I did previously, to wait for 2 days. And again, this could be any combination of months, weeks, days, waiting till a specific date and time. Lots of options here. Set that for 2 days. And I'm going to go ahead and connect both of these send email nodes to this delay. So regardless of which second email I'm going to get sent, I'm still going to wait 2 days to see what happens. Now, after waiting 2 days, I'm going to check something. I'm going to check and see if anybody opened anything. I'll connect this up. And so again, I get to make some choices and do some actions based on contact or lead activity. So for the folks who did open anything, I'm going to send them another email. I'm going to actually send them an email that's a call to purchase, okay? And for the folks who didn't, I'm going to send them another email as well. This is going to be really my final attempt at trying to get them to interact with me. Okay, so I have another email I've defined called final attempt. I'll add that here. I'm just going to zoom out of my workflow a bit. Hopefully you guys can still see this. It just allows me to move around on the screen a little bit more. So now, these folks who I sent a call to purchase to, I can actually check. If they're using our conversion tracking feature, I can check and see that they actually go to the website, your website, and make a purchase. So I'll connect these nodes. I have a segment here called customers who purchased. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. This is leads who converted. I'll select that. And now, if those folks converted, I'm going to thank them because that was really awesome. I'm glad they bought something. I'm actually then going to add them to a mailing list and update the contact. So I'll go here, add them to customers who purchase mailing lists. And this is a list that maybe I'm going to want to use for future communications to customers who obviously made a purchase on the site. Say OK. I'm going to connect those up. Now, folks who didn't purchase, I'm going to have them go to another email. Maybe I'll have them come to, I got to drag my node out here first. A third lead nurturing email. Grab the no side. Let me zoom out a little bit more. Okay, and I'm going to bring my exit node over here. I'm going to add one more node because those folks who still didn't buy anything, I'm going to want to put them someplace special as well. I'm going to add them to a list, a different list called non-responsive leads. Okay, and then everyone, once they've come down these different branches, they're going to exit this workflow. And that's really the simplicity. And I'm going to try and drag this over here too. I'm going to want to add these guys to my non-responsive lead list and have them drop out of the workflow as well. So you can see it's a very visual tool, very easy to define different paths, make lots of different decisions based on actions that customers take. Again, this is really pulling together lots of the power in Campaigner, the segmentation, lists, various email campaigns that we can define, the contact attributes or fields that are defined on different contacts. There's all kinds of different data that we can store with contacts and use to drive decisions on the different behavior that contacts are taking as they're interacting with our website, forms on our website, or any sort of purchase flow that we may have defined. So Hank, I think that's largely what I wanted to show from a demo perspective. Why don't I hand it back over to you?
Wonderful. That was great. A lot of times people don't want to start using automation because they feel like it's going to be so hard to do. But you made it look pretty easy to go in and identify an audience and then start a sequence of events, emails, updating contacts, etc. And this is just a simple version of anything you could do. We can get very complex, and I know some questions are coming in, and we're going to get to those very shortly. If you have some questions, you might want to add those to the question box now, and then we'll get to those. And what we're going to do now is just go back to the deck. So what I'm going to do is go back and see if I can get the control here. 1 second. All right. All right. Now that we've shown you and told you the power of marketing automation, what I want you to do is keep those horses in the stable and cage up those ravens. You should harness your dragons and forge ahead to victory using marketing automation. Consider yourself armed with the weapons to use in battle for the consumer attention and the best way to get your message out to the masses. I challenge you to fire up your email with automation. What say you? Aye, aye? What we want to do now is just have some conversation around marketing automation, see what kind of questions you have, see if we can get those answered for you. Don't forget to visit the Campaigner website at campaigner.com. Next month's webinar is going to be a part 2 on how to use the drag and drop editor, where I'm going to challenge another one of our product experts on creating a professional looking email that I choose within 5 minutes. I don't know if you think she can do it, but we're going to find out. Stay tuned on details for that. It'll be listed on our website and coming to you in an email in your inbox. Let's get to the Q&A and see what kind of questions we have. I did have one question that came up earlier. Someone said that they did not have access to automation in their account. You can contact us and we can definitely see what we can do to get that enabled for you. And also the person who asked that question will be reaching out to you directly to make sure that we get that handled. I'm going to go into the question box here, and Brandon, maybe what I can do is I can read some of the questions off and then maybe you can answer them if that's okay with you.
Yeah, Hank, that sounds great. I'll do my best.
All right. When you first create, this is from Zachary. Thank you, Zachary. When you first create a workflow, how can the workflow differentiate between existing contacts and new contacts when determining whether or not to send a welcome email or any other type of email, then follow it up? Or another way of asking, can an existing contact be a trigger for a new workflow?
Yeah, certainly. So there's definitely some additional controls around how those triggers work and when contacts can enter a workflow. We're actually able to explicitly determine whether or not contacts can enter a workflow multiple times. So let's say you have a contact who's signed up on your website. They've dropped into a particular workflow and they've gone through it successfully. They've done whatever things you want them to do. Now, if they do some other action, maybe they sign up again or something takes place, and you don't want them to come into that workflow again, making sure that workflow is only allowing contacts to enter once is certainly one way to manage that. Another way of controlling, how contacts can enter workflow, and providing some sort of advanced controls there, is to rely on contact attributes. So you can update and set attributes for contacts and use those to really drive whether or not contacts should be entering into any given workflow. So you can almost use them as flags, if you would, if you're familiar with that concept from a programming kind of perspective. Use them as flags to indicate whether or not they should enter a particular workflow.
Awesome. Thank you for
I hope
that.
that answers the question.
Yeah, I think it was good. Another follow-up question from Zachary is, can you determine if a customer is purchased or not without setting up API?
Purchased or not, well, that will depend, I think, on a few different things. Certainly, getting that kind of information into Campaigner is it's easier via API because this is a data exchange and doing things programmatically. It certainly streamlines and simplifies things, but nothing prevents you from updating contact information to indicate whether they purchased something, doing some kind of manual update. If you're to use conversion tracking is a new feature we recently launched in the platform, and this really allows you to tie back customers who interact with your websites and campaigns that you may have sent. And by way of this particular feature, you can certainly get a sense of whether customers have made purchases without using API at all. This is really one of the great benefits of this particular feature.
Awesome. Thank you again. Another question from Vanessa this time. Is there an extra cost to getting workflows?
So I think, Vanessa, that's a great question for you to have with your account rep or your sales rep. It is a separate feature that is enabled at an account level, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think there was a previous question about how can I get this enabled on my account. We can certainly reach out and see what we can do to get you access to this as well.
Yeah, definitely. If you don't have it, we can get it enabled. And I know there's certain accounts that actually have it from the beginning of their account. Reach out to your account rep, and Vanessa will follow up with you definitely. This next one from Zach, I can actually handle this one too. Do you have sample email templates for each stage of lead development? We don't have those samples in the account, but we do have a content team that can actually help you with either creating those, or we can probably provide you with some inspiration. Again, if you have an account rep, contact them. If not, go through support and we can definitely help you out. If you want to reach out to me on social media, maybe we can brainstorm a little bit, but we don't specifically have any templates that are available for those in a lead. But we do have some of the templates available that you can start from and get inspiration in the drag and drop editor. You can look there. All right, Greg says, can you share predefined workflows that can help improve open rates? That is more of a strategy question, which is probably my realm. We don't have predefined workflows, and obviously it's going to differ from customer to customer. Even if you're in the same industry, there may be different messaging that's going to help convert and timeframes. We'd be glad to talk to you about a specific strategy for whatever type of business you are in, because email marketing is not a cookie cutter type of operation. I actually just posted a good quote from myself this morning talking talking about, when your emails are old and stale, they're going to get ignored. It's just going to be another email in somebody's inbox and it's going to get ignored. What you want to do is make sure that you're taking a look at your audience and developing content that's going to resonate with them and sending it to them when they want it or are more apt to open. We'd be happy to discuss that with you. Courtney says, I do not have an option to create workflows. Courtney will follow up with you as well. Greg says, can non-responsive contacts be added to a workflow to automatically clean lists?
Yeah, I think there's really no limit there. If you recall the example that I went through when we're checking, whether contacts had interacted with email, you can check on opens or clicks and that kind of thing. If you want to add them to a particular list or take some further actions, certainly that can be done.
Awesome. And Zach's got a lot of questions today. I'm glad. He says, where can I find conversion tracking in the Campaigner portal? I believe that just needs to be enabled. You need to contact us and we can enable that because, as Brandon said, that's a newer feature. I am actually working on some content to show people the power of conversion tracking. Reach out to support your rep, or if you can't, reach out to me, but I'll follow up with you as well, Zachary. All right.
Yep, for sure.
And Steven says, can any segment be used to kick something off? For example, those customers who bought a particular product then head into a funnel to upsell offers on a weekly basis.
Absolutely. So, I touched on the fact that we can use different contact attributes or fields within the contact record to drive things. Campaigner has an e-commerce capability whereby we can pull in e-commerce related data. So any purchase behavior data can come into our platform, and this is products, orders, and you can segment based on that data. So you can certainly look at customers who purchased X product in Y time frame, or who maybe purchased a certain dollar value, and use that segment to drive additional upsell opportunities.
Awesome. Joanna says, how can I use emails with dynamic content in my workflows?
I think there's nothing particularly challenging about using dynamic content in your emails. You can use it the same way. You're still using the operators or the decisions in the dynamic content that you would to present the necessary data in the context of that email. It's really any campaign that you create, any email campaign that you create, you can use in a workflow, as long as you indicate in the campaign creation process that it's a campaign that is intended to be used in a workflow. So there's really no limits there.
Pretty much you're creating your email ahead of time to be used in a workflow, and you can create that email and have the dynamic content set up in that email. Therefore, the answer is yes. It's just, I guess it's not easy just to know that off the top of your head, especially if you're a new campaigner customer. All right.
Yep,
all right.
For sure. And Hank.
Yep.
Sorry, Hank, I was just going to say, as I mentioned in the demonstration today, I prepared a number of emails and segments for use, simply for to keep things on time. It helps as visual and as easy of a tool it is to use and to build workflows. It definitely helps to come in with a bit of a plan in advance, right? So nothing prevents you from coming in and creating workflows and then popping back and saving your progress, popping back out, creating an email that you need to, or maybe creating another segment, then coming back to your workflow and updating and editing it. But for sure, if you come in with a plan and you have some of those emails defined and segments defined, it'll make the process, like I showed today, go much smoother.
I'm not going to lie, marketing automation is not that magical unicorn you're looking for. There is some upfront work that you need to do to set them up. But once you do, it's kind of not set it and forget it, but it does optimize your workflow. There is time that you need to invest up front, but in the long run, it actually saves you time and, more importantly, gets you in front of people when they probably are more apt to open their email or re-engage with something that they didn't engage with the first time, like if you're resending an email that nobody opened. All right. Greg says, is there a
Absolutely.
spot on a website to help with training on workflows, A/B testing, segmentation, and automation? I believe the best answer there would be the help portal on the site or in the account is helpful there. If your account manager can help, support can help as well. And yeah, we have some information there. We're working on some new stuff to get out there. Some more around how do I get workflows. So we'll follow up with you, Janice. And somebody says, have to go, but enjoyed today's session. Look forward to seeing the next one. Glad you enjoyed that, Jason, even though you can't hear that. Hopefully you'll come back for the recording. All right. Greg asks, can spam filtering be automated by using workflows and later enabled in campaign reporting? I'm not sure I know exactly what that question means.
Yeah, Hank, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not 100% sure I know what that means either. But I'm confident that one of our customer success team members can probably field that question.
Right.
Perhaps we can get back to Greg.
Yep. Greg, I think you might be talking about like, can I see how much inbox placement I'm getting, maybe for particular domains, et cetera. It's probably not good to use automations for that because you're just going to keep sending and you're going to go back and see what the open rates are. You're probably better off using some tools and some seed lists to see what's going on there. And most importantly, pay attention to your domain reputation, which is the kind of like I call it a credit score that your domain has. The higher it is, the more inbox you'll get. The lower it is, the less inbox you get. And as Brandon said, we'll be happy to talk to you offline about all that, and we'll follow up with you as well. Yeah, and he says spam testing, so it's kind of what I talked about. All right. This is the first webinar I've received from Campaigner. Are there available basic lessons for beginners? Vicky, check out our YouTube channel. We definitely have previous webinars listed there. On our website, we have some other resources. And we also have account managers, account executives, and our support staff that can definitely help you with anything in Campaigner or in regards to strategy itself. We appreciate you being on today, Vicky. All right. All right, Lee Jackson says that they missed the first 15 minutes. We will be following up via email with a link to the recording. Just give us a couple days to process that, and it'll also be on our YouTube channel. You can find it there. You can hear us in eternity if you want to. Last call for questions. I'm at the last one right now, but if you have one or two more, we are actually making good time. We still have 10 minutes left in the hour, but if I don't get one in a moment or two, what we can do is give you 10 minutes back in your day. How do you like that, folks? All right, everybody's just singing our praises and saying how helpful this webinar was, and they're thanking us. Therefore, I think it's a good time to end this webinar. Brandon, I appreciate you jumping on this webinar with me and sharing your expertise of number one, automation, and number two, Campaigner, and keep creating awesome features for our platform.
Well, thanks, Hank. Happy to be here.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget, next month we'll have another webinar. It'll be on the same day, same time. It'll be on, I think it's like the third Wednesday of the month, and we'll get some information out about that. But again, that's on our drag and drop editor. You don't want to miss that. It's going to be an interactive webinar where we actually want your input, and we will be asking for your cheers for Alexa to be building these emails. So until then, happy marketing, folks. Have a great rest of your week, and we will have the recording as soon as possible. Take it easy.